Hi, my beautiful, beautiful, amazing Pokemon lovers. We're at the end of the Kanto journey.
You've been such a good friend.
Can you believe it? It is the end of the Kanto journey. After this episode, we're heading to Johto, which is one of my favorite generations, and we're just gonna have a good time. But before we do that, I'm just gonna start. And today, our first Pokemon is one of the legendary birds, Articuno. Articuno is one of the first legendary Pokemon you encounter. Is that so? Is that only in yellow? Articuno is one of the first legendary Pokemon. Oh, actually, it is the first legendary Pokemon you encounter in Pokemon Yellow. I'm not sure about blue and red, actually. Is it? I don't know. But that's okay. Articuno is a giant ice bird Pokemon, and what it can do is it has giant wings, and when it flaps them, it can chill the moisture in the air and create snow. Now, if you ever wondered how snow comes to exist, that is how. It's Articuno. He did it. He did it. Articuno is an amazing looking, majestic bird. I just think Articuno is probably my favorite out of the three legendary birds. Another thing about Articuno is that it appears in front of doomed travelers on icy mountains. Now, I never know, it doesn't specify if it saves them or if it just tells them you gon' die. It's either one of those, but I'm gonna guess it's you gon' die. So that don't encounter an Articuno on a snowy mountain. Won't end well for you, I think. In the anime though, Articuno actually guides and saves traveling hikers in the mountains, so this is all very contradictory, but it's gonna be either one of those, right? Here's a fun fact about Articuno. In the French translation, its name is Articodin, which is a combination of Arctic and Odin, which is a Norse god that has nothing to do with water or ice whatsoever, but it does sound really cool. 5 out of 5. Our next legendary bird is Zapdos, which is pretty much the Jolteon of the legendary birds. It is kind of awesome, but you know, it's the Jolteon of the legendary birds, and we all know how I felt about Jolteon. Zapdos kind of scares me because I'm terrified of birds with really long beaks, and that's what Zapdos has got. He looks like he could poke your eye out with that beak, and I'm not okay with that, actually, so please don't ever do that to me. Zapdos has glittery wings, which sounds very fabulous. His wings can release electricity, which can potentially cause a thunderstorm, so if you're ever wondering where a thunderstorm came from, it was Zapdos. And like most electric Pokemon, when it gets hit by thunder or electricity, it gains power. Now this is not very new to the electricity type, so I don't feel like this is a very special thing about it, but you know, who am I to say that? Here's a fun little Pokédex entry from Pokemon Silver. This legendary bird Pokemon is said to appear only when a thundercloud parts in two halves. That sounds cool. And another fun French fact about Zapdos. Zapdos' French name is Elector. I don't think that's how you say it. Elector. I don't know. Do the French even use the sound? I don't know how you pronounce that. Which is a combination of electric and Thor, the Norse god of thunder. Which is, again, kind of cool. The French are really good at making up names. They're always very specific. They're like good combinations of two words, and I really enjoy looking up the French names because they're always kind of, I don't know, interesting? Anyway, Zapdos for me is a 4 out of 5. Our last legendary bird of the day is Moltres. Now, Moltres is a firebird Pokemon, kind of represents a phoenix, and just like magma, when it dips itself into lava, it can heal itself. It also can bring spring to cold areas early, which is good. Maybe it sets the sky on fire and brings us warmth. It's actually quite scary. And here is a fun Pokédex entry, Stadium 2. This legendary Pokemon scatters embers with every flap of its wings. It is a thrilling sight to behold. Honestly, if it just like throws fire around, that doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound like something I'd want happening to me. What if your hair sets on fire, or your body, or a forest? A thrilling sight. And there's one last little fact about, it's a French fact. The French name for Moltres is sulfurat, which means sulfureux. It's a combination of sulfureux, which is sulfuric, I think, and Ra, which is an Egyptian god. Like, French guys, can you just like keep it steady? Don't go from Norse to Egyptians. Walk like an Egyptian. Don't do that, it's confusing. And as you may have noticed, the three legendary birds are Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres, which is Spanish counting. 5 out of 5. Next up is number 147, Dratini. Its Japanese name is Mini Ryu, by the way. Mini Ryu. The Dratini line is actually one of my favorite Pokemon evolution lines. I really love Dratini. I always want one, because it evolves into one of my favorite Pokemon, of course. But let's talk about Dratini first. Dratini is a dragon Pokemon which is filled with life energy, and it grows for a very long time. It just keeps growing and it becomes a very large water snake. As Dratini grows, it sheds its skin, which also kind of results in the ability Shed Skin. And as it sheds its skin, it hides behind a waterfall because it doesn't want anyone to see its skin falling off its body. Understandable, if you ask me. Here's a little fun Pokédex entry from Emerald. A Dratini continually molts and sloughs off its old skin. It does so because the life energy within its body steadily builds to reach uncontrollable levels. Sick! Again, the French have a cool name for Dratini. It's called Mini Draco, which is tiny dragon or something. Dratini is one of my favorite Pokemon. The line is one of my favorites because I just think Dratini, first of all, is completely adorable and it is very good at battling, so that really helps. Also, dragon Pokemon are just the best. So Dratini is a 5 out of 5. As Dratini evolves, it turns into Dragonair, which is a beautiful, slender, dark blue Dratini with really pretty wings on its ears, and it's just generally beautiful. It can fly through the air. It doesn't even have wings, only the ones on its ears, but they don't seem strong enough to hold its entire body weight. But Dragonair is just a majestic, beautiful creature. Just like Dratini, Dragonair can hold a lot of energy inside its body, which sometimes makes it glow and makes it look even more beautiful and majestic. Well done, Dragonair. This is also a fun fact. Dragonair seems like there's a lot of theories about where Dragonair came from, but one of them that appeals to me the most is its wings look like Hermes's wings on its shoes. Hermes can fly, and Hermes also has a snake on its staff, so which kind of would mean that it could come from Hermes, which is a cool guy. Like that guy. He's a Greek god, and I'm very into Greek mythology, so I like to believe it came from Hermes. 5 out of 5. Next up is number 124, the beautiful, the amazing, the adorable Dragonite. Dragonite is one of my favorite Pokemon, not only because it's just so damn cute, but it is really powerful, and it's a dragon Pokemon. Of course, it's kind of weird that Dragonair evolves from a long blue snake into an orange bulky dragon that kind of looks weird, but I don't mind. I really like Dragonite. Dragonite is a really kind Pokemon, and kind Pokemon will always have a little bit of an advantage in my book. Dragonite can circle the globe in 16 hours, which is a crazy time. It's really fast, even though it just looks so lumpy and big. That is cool. You can be whatever you want. If you're big and lumpy, you can travel the world in 16 hours. Don't doubt yourself. So, like I said, Dragonite is a very kind-hearted Pokemon. It has almost human-like intelligence, and what it does, it is kind of like flies around the sea and helps shipwrecked or lost shipmen. That's not a word. It saves humans from drowning and sometimes helps ships to shore that have been lost in the sea, and Dragonite is just a really cool Pokemon. Dragonite, yeah. Pokemon Crystal has a Pokédex entry saying, "It is said that somewhere in the ocean lies an island where these gather. Only they live there. Can I please go visit that island, please? Because I would be extremely happy to visit an island full of Dragonite." Since I've been going on about French names this entire episode, I'll just go for this one as well. Its French name is Dracolos, which is a combination of Draco and Colossus. Dragonite for me is a 5 out of 5. Heck, it's a 200 out of 5. Dragonite is simply the best. Next up is number 150, Mewtwo. Now, Mewtwo is, of course, the crazy legendary Pokemon that everyone knows and loves or doesn't love. I don't know. Mewtwo is not my favorite legendary Pokemon, but of course, it leaves a big impact on you. If you watch the first Pokemon movie, that Pokemon is a smart motherfucker. Mewtwo is a smart and loyal, maybe not loyal, Smart man. I obviously did my research while I was half asleep because Mewtwo is created by years of gene splicing. Like, it is kind of crazy. It is pretty much a test subject that came to exist thanks to humans splicing DNA and doing crazy shit that they probably shouldn't be doing. Apparently Mew is its mother. It kind of confused me that Mew is actually number 151 instead of 150, but you know, that is okay. Mew is its mother. Like, Mew looks like it would be its child though. Like, it's really cute and tiny, but okay. Mewtwo was engineered by scientists to be the ultimate guy in battle, which means it has completely no empathy, it has no feelings, it is pretty much a ice cold Pokemon, which is the reason it's so tough to defeat and to catch. And Mewtwo is just really rough. Mewtwo also has 2 Mega Evolutions, Mega Mewtwo X and Mega Mewtwo Y, which is depending on if you have Pokemon X or Y, or depending on if you have Mewtwonite X or Y. I mean, it kind of makes sense. I'm more of a Mega Mewtwo X kind of gal because it just looks better in my opinion. It looks a little bit less fighty. So. And of course, Mewtwo has another form, the Shadow Mewtwo, which is seen in Pokken. Shadow Mewtwo is hard to defeat. Don't like Shadow Mewtwo. Get out of my life, Shadow Mewtwo. 4 out of 5. And last but not least, the last Pokemon in the Kanto Dex. It is Mew. Now, Mew's name actually comes from the sound cats make. Mew. Who knew? It's adorable. My first encounter with Mew was in Pokemon Snap, actually, where I could not take a good picture of it because its stupid orb would never go away for long enough for me to take a good picture. Damn you, Todd. Mew is a really kind-hearted, sweet, playful, smart Pokemon. It just warms my heart, to be honest. Mew is a cutie, it's pink, it's cuddly, it's a tiny little baby. And there's a Pokedex entry, though, that kind of confused me. Let me just read that. Of course, it could only have been Yellow, because Yellow has the weirdest Pokedex entries I've encountered. Pokemon Yellow says, when viewed through a microscope, this Pokemon's short, fine, delicate hair can be seen. Okay. According to notes in the Cinnabar Mansion, Mew actually gave birth to Mewtwo on the 6th of February. Pretty much Mewtwo's embryo was like genetically fucked up, so it became a Mewtwo. Now, of course, in the first generations, Pokemon was a little bit weirder than you think it should be, but you know, it's a good story, and Mew is adorable. I love Mew. I have a shiny Mew, and it's my favorite little baby. 5 out of 5. Guys, this was it for Kanto. This is weird. Before I end the video, I want to ask you, what is your favorite Johto starter? And I will see you next time. I will have a new Pokedex. I will have new things. It's gonna be great, and I will see you next time.